Greetings, kindred. Welcome to this study of the book of Ezekiel, a study written by Pastor Lancelot Knight of the former King's Chapel. And we're doing the book of Ezekiel, and we're in book 36. And last time we covered verses 1 through 15, so we'll pick it up today with verse 16. And you'll probably note that I have replaced the names of Lord and God and Jesus Christ with the sacred names of Yahweh and Yeshua Messiah, or the Mighty One, as the case may be. And I put those changes in brackets so it's real clear where I made those substitutions. So let's get started. The name Ezekiel in Hebrew means, quote, El, God, I is Ezek, strong, or even, quote, God is my strength, unquote. And his method of strengthening is quite clear to anyone who reads this book with even just a little understanding. It is his word that gives us strength. Okay, I want to stop right here and make a comment on this introduction by Lancelot Knight. In this study, Pastor Knight starts off by discussing the name Ezekiel. The problem with this explanation is that it does not go back far enough into history and see what the name El is. In the Pantheon Greek, El was the father of Baal. In other words, El is a Hellenized name that the false pen of the scribes used to replace the true name of Yahweh. Yahweh's name is derived from the Tetragrammaton, which the scribes removed from the Bible approximately 8,000 times and replaced it with the names God and Lord. If you want to learn more about how essential it is to abandon these pagan names and use the sacred names of Yahweh and Yeshua, please listen to the video I posted on the sacred names. I will put a link in the description to this video. I also want to mention that in addition to the name El, I have replaced the EL with YL in Ezekiel. The YL actually means power, which is more consistent with the name Ezekiel, the strengthened, the powerful one. Okay, let's continue. Note to new students, the Hebrew language is not read from left to right like English, but rather it is read from the right to the left. Also, names of people, places, and things have great significance in the scriptures, and they often give us a deeper understanding of that which is written when we take the time to learn the meanings. We continue now with the chapters in Ezekiel concerning the restoration of Israel. We continue now with the chapters in Ezekiel concerning the restoration of Israel. Remember that in our last study of the first 15 verses of chapter 36, we learned about the restoration of Israel basically as it pertained to the land itself. In contrast, in this next section, especially from verses 16 to 29, is addressed to the people. It explains why the restoration must take place, which is because the plan of Yahweh is lovingly designed so that all of Yahweh's children of all races and creeds can come to know and love him. Okay, I need to stop right here for a minute and address this phrase that Pastor Lancelot just said. I submit that all of Yahweh's children are not of all races. First, it is my understanding of the word, it is written by, for, and about the family of Adam. Adam means to show blood in the face, that is, to blush rosy red. Only white man blushes. This is not the same as being tan, but is actually a feature of the white translucent skin that tends to show blue blood veins and where the face tends to turn red, such as when a man becomes angry or embarrassed. I also submit that the Bible is one of the most racial books ever written. If you want to learn more about the racial message of the Bible, I encourage you to listen to the video on Romans 9, which I will also post in the description area of this video. Finally, I want to say that Yeshua was not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This can be documented in Matthew 10:6 and Matthew 15:24. If you've read the Bible, you know that the Israelites, Yahweh's chosen race, were divorced by Yahweh, and then later Judah was cut off too. In order to restore their status as the chosen ones, Yahweh sent Yeshua Messiah to redeem them. This is why he is called the kinsman redeemer. No other races were ever considered his chosen ones, and thus no other races were cut off or divorced. As such, there was no need for other races to have a redeemer. Okay, let's continue with Lance's study. Ezekiel 36:16. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying. Notice that before Ezekiel, Yahweh's watchman is once again given instructions and told to speak unto the house of Israel. Verse 22. That Yahweh gives him increased knowledge and understanding from his word, i.e., more strengthening. It is extremely important that the people of Yahweh understand the purpose and reasons why Yahweh does what he does, lest they think that merely for their own sakes he blesses them. Verse 17. Son of man, when the house of Israel dwelt in their own land, they defiled it by their own way and by their own doings. Their way was before me as the uncleanness of a removed woman. The analogy here is that Israel became unclean and had to be separated after the manner of a woman during menstruation, as it is described according to the law in Leviticus 15:19. Verse 18. Wherefore I poured my fury upon them for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and for all their idols wherewith they had polluted it. Yahweh was furious because of these two things. One, for the blood that they had shed upon the land, and two, for their idols, wherewith they polluted the land. These are abominations in the sight of Yahweh. Ezekiel 7, verse 8. Malachi 3:6 and Hebrews 13:8 declare that Yahweh changes not, that he is the same yesterday and today and forever. Do you think, therefore, that he has since changed his mind concerning these two transgressions, these abominations? He has not. That is why it is so important for us, Yahwehists, to get rid of the pollution, the traditions of men, like the rituals and practices associated with Ishtar or Easter, etc., that have been handed down to us from our fathers, which pollute the land. It still makes our Father furious. Remember chapter 20 when we discussed the idolatrous pollution of our people, even the pollution of his holy Sabbath, such as the high day of Yahwehism, the Passover? He doesn't like us substituting pagan rituals after the manner of our fathers, instead of adhering to his word. Yahweh the Mighty One wants to know which it will be for you, the stinky, polluted water that the false prophets of chapter 34 teach from the pulpits of our land, or the pure living water which flows from his word. Ezekiel 20, verse 30. Wherefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, Are ye polluted after the manner of your fathers, and commit ye whoredom after their abominations? There is only one way to know if you are polluted, and that is by studying his word and following him, not the traditions of churches which appear to be so holy and unpolluted. So Yahweh scattered and dispersed his people through the countries according to their choice. You see, Yahweh is both pro-choice, free will, and pro-life, his ways. Ezekiel 36:19. And I scattered them among the heathen, and they were dispersed through the countries according to their way, and according to their doings I judged them. And so their scattering came to pass exactly as it was written, and they became known as the lost tribes of the house of Israel. However, they are only lost to themselves and to the rest of the biblically illiterate world. They are not lost to our Father, and nor to his servants who know who they are and where they are. Read James 1:1. Do you? If not, write to us for the free booklet, The Abrahamic Covenant by E. Raymond Capp. Okay, I'm just going to stop here a minute. Since the King's Chapel is no longer in existence, you won't be able to write to him. But you can find this book, The Abrahamic Covenant, on Amazon. And it's also on my website, which is study.faithweb.com. And I'll put a link to that website too at the bottom of this video, where you can obtain that booklet, The Abrahamic Covenant. However, the online version doesn't have all the pretty pictures and maps and so forth. So you might want to go ahead and just buy the book from Amazon. I don't think it's very expensive. Verse 20, and when they entered into the heathen, whither they went, they profaned my holy name. Okay, there's an example right there why the holy name is so important. When they said to them, these are the people of the Yahweh and are gone forth out of his land. If your children went out and made fools of themselves by, let's say, fooling around and brought disgrace to the family, how would you feel as their parent? Well, Israel did commit whoredoms and profane Yahweh's holy name just by their actions. Look up the word profaned in the Hebrew dictionary. It means to pollute, to prostitute, to stain. So the heathen, the goy in Hebrew, sneered and said concerning Israel's idolatrous practices and their scattering, quote, look at the children of Yahweh, just look how they act, and look how they're weak Yahweh treats them, unquote. Our Father wants all of his children, of which all people of all races are his children. I'm going to stop here for a minute, and we already explained that all races are not his children, only the Israelites. So I'll continue. For he created them all. Actually, I'm going to stop here for a minute because there is a verse that tells us that which our Father has not planted will be plucked up or destroyed, purged. So that tells us right there that there are some beings that our Father did not create. At least he did not plant them. When you look at the fallen angels in Genesis chapter 6 that came down and took the daughters of Adam to wife, Yahweh didn't sanction that or ordain that or create those Nephilim. They were soulless. They didn't have souls. Yahweh created all those creatures with the souls. The verse I'm referring to is Matthew 15:13, where it says, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Now that word plant is actually referring not to vegetables or trees, it's referring to individuals. Okay, so let's continue. Okay, so let's continue reading. Our Father wants all of his children, the Israelites, of which all... Ezekiel 36, verse 21. But I had pity for mine holy name, which the house of Israel had profaned among the heathen, whither they went. They made him look really bad, but even in spite of themselves, Yahweh remained with them, never losing track of even the least grain of sand among them, whither they went. You see, Yahweh performs miracles among his people and brings about certain events, etc., not just for their sakes, but to make himself known to all his children, the heathen too. Now I might add that I don't believe the heathen are his children. And we just discussed that before, so I'm not going to get into it again. But we read about that in chapter 20 also, Ezekiel 20, verse 9. But I wrought for my name's sake that it should not be polluted before the heathen among whom they were, in whose sight I made myself known unto them, and bringing them forth out of the land of Egypt. The reason for the plagues on Egypt and the high-handed manner in which Yahweh brought Israel forth out of the land was not just for the sake of Israel, but to make himself known unto the nations. Now, I want to add here that I think it was for the sake of Israel, so that these heathens would know not to mess with them and not to, deal treacherously with them. Remember, Yahweh was trying to deliver them out of the land of Egypt, and he had to bring plagues upon them in order to get them to do so. So I think it was for Israel's sake. So let's continue. So with this information in mind, Ezekiel is now instructed to speak to his people. Notice he's not instructed to speak to anyone, but just the Israelites. Ezekiel 36, verse 22. Therefore say unto the house of Israel, Thus saith Yahweh, the Mighty One, I do not this for your sakes, O house of Israel, but for mine holy name's sake, which ye have profaned among the heathen, whither ye went. Okay, I'm going to stop here. If you think about it, if the heathen think Yahweh's weak, then what's to stop them from attacking Israelites? They're going to think, oh, Yahweh's not going to do anything, he's weak. But if the heathen know Yahweh's strong, they're not going to mess with Israel. They're going to leave him alone. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Again, it was not for the house of Israel's sake, but that the heathen would know that he is Yahweh. Next verse, 23. And I will sanctify my great name, which was profaned among the heathen, which ye have profaned in the midst of them, and the heathen shall know that I am the Mighty One, saith Yahweh the Mighty One, when I shall be sanctified in you before their eyes. Our Father has great purpose in that all he says and does. His concern is for the salvation of all his children, not just some, so that the restoration of the house of Israel is to the benefit of all nations, and I might add all nations of Israel. He has promised that a full restoration will take place. Verse 24. For I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries and will bring you into your own land. Yes, there is a restoration of Israel at the seventh trump when Yeshua Messiah returns, but also remember the first 15 verses of this chapter. Where is the true house of Israel today? They are in their own land. Those scattered tribes basically comprise the free nations of the world today, the Yahwehist nations. Okay, Ezekiel 36, verse 25. Then I will sprinkle clean water upon you, and ye shall be clean from all your filthiness, and from all your idols I will cleanse you. The then places, this is at the restoration of the millennium, see note in Companion Bible, when Yeshua Messiah has returned. The sprinkle clean water upon you has direct reference to Leviticus 1:5, and the sprinkling of the blood upon the altar to make atonement for sin, which was a foreshadowing of the atonement of Yeshua Messiah's blood, the only blood which can cleanse a person. But even at this time we have the word of Yahweh which is with us, which will cleanse us from all idols and idolatrous ways. Those with eyes to see and ears to hear know that his word is right now being sprinkled like rain upon this latter generation. It is the latter rain, Deuteronomy 11:14, James 5:7, which falls right before the harvest. Verse 26, a new heart also will I give you, and a new spirit I will put within you, and I will take away the stony heart out of your flesh, and will give you a heart of flesh. The 1611 King James language and translation makes the metaphors in this verse a little hard to understand. Here's how Dr. Moffat translates it. Ezekiel 36, verse 26. I will give you a new nature, and I will put a new spirit in you. I will take away your hard nature and give you a nature that can be touched. Moffat. That new spirit that Yahweh will put in his children is his spirit. Ezekiel 36, verse 27. And I will put my spirit within you and cause you to walk in my statutes, and ye shall keep my judgments and do them. Any child of Yahweh, any race or creed, can receive this spirit of Yahweh. Now, by repenting and turning to Yeshua Messiah as their Savior and accepting his blood sacrifice. Okay, I've got to stop here. This is a universalist doctrine here that any race or creed can receive this spirit, whereas I contend that only Israelites, only the Adamite, those with that blush show rosy red, that the Bible's written for, by, and about, those are the only ones that can receive that spirit. Those that have the soul that was created from the foundation of the world. But anyway, let's continue. That new spirit will cause him or her to eat the scroll, i.e., study his word, and become a doer, a follower of his statutes and his judgments and the commands. And I've got to add here, remember when Yeshua said to those non-believers and the Pharisees, he goes, my sheep, referring to the lost sheep of the house of Israel, hear my voice and follow me. Why do you not understand my words? It's because you are not my sheep. Okay, case in point. Ezekiel 36, verse 28. That new spirit will cause him or her to eat the scroll, study his word, and become a doer follower of his statutes and his judgments and his commands. Ezekiel 36, verse 28. And ye shall dwell in the land that I gave to your fathers, and ye shall be my people, and I will be your mighty one. You can also read of the beautiful restoration in the 31st chapter of Jeremiah. We won't quote it all here, but it is well worth reading independently. Jeremiah 31, verse 1. At the same time, saith the mighty one, I will be Yahweh of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people. Verse 6, for there shall be a day that the watchmen upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, arise ye, let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our mighty one. Notice that it is the watchmen who give the cry. Are you a watchman? Verse 8, behold, I will bring them forth from the north country and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travaileth with child together, a great company shall return thither. Most of the house of Israel is spiritually blind as at this time, Romans 11, and many shall stumble and fall before anti-Messiah and be spiritually seduced by him and spiritually impregnated with his lies and deception. That is why Yeshua said in Mark 13:17, woe to them that are with child, spiritually. That is why they shall come weeping and with supplications, next verse, for the shame in which they stumbled, but they shall stumble no more in Yeshua. Verse 9, they shall come with weeping and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by their rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble, for I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Verse 10, hear the word, O Yahweh, O ye nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, he that scattereth Israel will gather him and keep him as a shepherd doth his flock. It is being declared in those isles afar off that his promise of the restoration is sure. You can count on it. Ezekiel 36, verse 29. I will also save you from all your uncleanness, and I will call for the corn and will increase it, and will lay no more famine upon you. Did you know that we are in a great famine of the end time? It is not a famine for food, not a thirst for water. Amos 8:11. Behold, the days cometh, saith Yahweh, the mighty one, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. But the time is coming when there will be no more dearth for the hearing of the word of Yahweh. Why? The word will be with us. Even he is for those with eyes to see him. Ezekiel 36, verse 30. And I will multiply the fruit of the tree and the increase of the field, that ye shall receive no more reproach of famine among the heathen. Verse 31. Then shall ye remember your own evil ways and your doings that were not good, and ye shall loathe yourselves in your own sight for your iniquities and for your abominations. When we are in our own spiritual bodies, we will certainly remember what we did in the flesh, won't we? As it is written in Revelation 6:16 through 17, when Yahshua returns, many will wish the mountains to fall upon them rather than face Yeshua Messiah because of their abominations. Verse 32. Not for your sakes do I do this, saith Yahweh the Mighty One. Be it known unto you, be ashamed and confounded for your own ways, O house of Israel. We are to know real well that it is not because of Israel's righteousness that the restoration will take place, for they shall certainly be ashamed for worshiping the false Messiah. The restoration shall take place because it is part of Yahweh's salvation plan for the benefit of all nations. Ezekiel 36, verse 33. Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, in the day that I shall have cleansed you from all your iniquities, I will also cause you to dwell in the cities, and the wastes shall be builded. Again, in that day shows this will happen in the millennium. Verse 34. And the desolate land shall be tilled, whereas it lay desolate in the sight of all that passed by. And, verse 35, they shall say, this land that was desolate is become like the Garden of Eden, and the waste and desolate and ruined cities are become fenced and are inhabited. The waste and pollution and desolations caused by flesh man's wars and filthy ways will no longer be permitted, because the word of Yahweh shall reign as the dew of the heaven, and the King of kings and priests of the Zadok shall reign. Verse 36. Then the heathen that are left round about you shall know that I, Yahweh, build the ruined places and plant that which was desolate. Yahweh has spoken it, and I will do it. I, Yahweh, have spoken it, and I will do it. There will be no doubt by anyone of any nation that it was Yahweh that brought about the restoration. He has said he will do it. It is written that he will do it, and you know what? He will do it. Verse 37. Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, I will yet for this be inquired of by the house of Israel, to do it for them. I will increase them with men like a flock. Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, won't that be a glorious time when the house of Israel can inquire of him? Does he listen to the elders of Ezekiel 20 and the false shepherds of Ezekiel 24 when they inquire of him now? Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One. Ezekiel 20, verse 3. Son of man, speak unto the elders of Israel, and say unto them, Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, Are ye come to inquire of me? As I live, saith Yahweh the Mighty One, I will not be inquired of by you. If you have not answered the "Are you polluted?" question by studying his word and are therefore disobedient to his commands, will he hear your prayers when you go to church and pay your tithes and inquire of him? Thus saith Yahweh the Mighty One, Ezekiel 20, verse 31. For when you offer your gifts, when you make your sons to pass through the fire, you pollute yourselves with all your idols, even unto this day, and shall I be inquired of by you, O house of Israel? As I live, saith Yahweh the Mighty One, I will not be inquired of by you. The time of restoration is coming, for Yahweh is returning soon. Ezekiel 36, verse 38. As the holy flock, as the flock of Jerusalem in her solemn feasts, so shall the waste cities be filled with flocks of men, and they shall know that I am Yahweh. And when he returns, every knee shall bow, and all nations, including the whole house of Israel, shall know that I am is Yahweh, the mighty one. Hallelujah. Okay, that concludes this chapter 36 of Ezekiel. And next time we'll pick it up in chapter 37. Until then, may Yahweh richly bless you. Hallelujah.